The moment Sarah picked up the phone, a voice whispered, "You were supposed to die last week." Her breath caught. It was 2:00 a.m. She hadn't shared her number with anyone in years, not since the funeral. Her fingers curled tighter around the receiver as a cold shiver traced her spine. The voice rasped again. "He's waiting for you." Click. Dot. Silence. Sarah stared at the phone, heart pounding. Then, 3 slow, deliberate knocks echoed from the front door. Dud. Duddy. Thud. Paul. Thud. Dud. She stepped back, spine pressing against the hallway wall. No one knew where she lived. No one had been inside this house since she moved in. And yet, someone stood outside. A stranger in the dark. Or worse, someone who was supposed to be dead. Sarah hadn't heard that voice in 10 years. It used to call her Red, her brother's nickname for her before he vanished without a trace. But that voice on the phone didn't sound like him. It was deeper, coded in static and something else, rage. She stepped cautiously to the door and unlocked it, hand trembling. The street outside was empty, cloaked in mist. The porch creaked under her weight. No footprints. No shadows. Just the soft hum of cicadas and the flicker of a dying street lamp. What? But her instinct screamed. Something had just been there. On the welcome mat, a photograph lay face down, edges curling with moisture. She bent down, heart pounding louder in her ears than her footsteps, and picked it up. When she turned it over, her knees buckled slightly. It was a picture of her, sleeping. Last night's pajama shirt. Same position. Same bedspread. The angle was from her bedroom corner, but she lived alone. Scrawled in faded ink across the top, "He never left." Sarah dropped the photo, but it stuck to her palm like static. She stumbled back inside, slamming the door and locking it 3 times. Her breathing was ragged. She reached for her cell phone, cracked screen, no signal. Panic climbed up her throat. The lights flickered violently once, twice, then went out. The house plunged into suffocating darkness. No moonlight through the curtains. No hum from the fridge. Just silence. And then, a creak. From upstairs. Her childhood bedroom. She hadn't gone up there in weeks. Slowly, one step at a time, she moved toward the stairwell, eyes wide in the dark. Then came the breath. A slow inhale from the top of the stairs. Sarah froze. The door to her childhood room. Ajar. Just slightly. A shape moved behind it, soft and fluid, like a memory caught in smoke. Her knees locked. The breath came again, low and long. She tried to whisper her brother's name, but her throat sealed shut. 1 foot in front of the other, she crept up the stairs. The door creaked wider. She saw the glow of the old nightlight. And then, 2 eyes. Not reflecting light. Generating it. The attic had been locked since the day Sarah's brother vanished. She never dared open it, not even when she bought the house from their parents' estate. But tonight, the old key appeared on the kitchen counter, lying next to the cracked photo. She didn't remember fetching it from the drawer. Her hands trembled as she climbed the creaking stairs to the attic door. The lock turned easily. Inside, the air was thick and musty, the scent of dust and rotting paper hanging like a curtain. In the center sat a child's rocking horse, gently swaying, untouched. On the far wall, hundreds of tiny handprints covered the wallpaper. Some were smeared. Some perfectly clear. One was hers, still faintly outlined in pink crayon. Her voice cracked as she whispered, "Why now?" But no one answered, except for the sound of the rocking horse slowing to a stop. She knelt in front of the horse, fingers tracing its chipped paint. A memory bled through. A 7-year-old Sarah hiding behind that same horse, giggling while her brother, Jacob, counted for hide and seek. But it wasn't the same horse. The color was different. The saddle was torn, with what looked like dried blood crusting one edge. She stepped back, gasping. Beneath the rocking horse lay a box. A shoebox, taped shut, with her name written in childlike handwriting. Red. Her childhood nickname. Sarah ripped the tape away. Inside were dozens of old Polaroids. Her, as a child, sleeping, eating, bathing, always alone, always taken from a distance. One photo was different. It showed her mother crying in a dark hallway. A shadow stood behind her. Sarah fled downstairs, clutching the box. Her hands were shaking, her mind a storm. Who took those pictures? Why were they hidden all these years? She stumbled into the living room, spreading the photographs across the floor. They weren't just of her, they included Jacob too. In one he stood at the edge of the forest behind their old house, pointing toward something in the trees. Another showed him asleep, mouth slightly open, eyes barely cracked. Then she saw the final photo. It hadn't been there before. A photo of her now, standing in the attic doorway, staring down at the box. A photo that could only have been taken seconds ago. A scream erupted outside, raw and distant. Sarah jumped and ran to the window. The street was empty. Just the mist and the occasional buzz of a faulty street lamp. But the scream lingered in her ears. She threw on her coat and stepped out, following the direction of the sound. Every step took her farther into the woods behind her childhood home. The trees felt tighter now. Their branches arched like skeletal arms. A rusted playground appeared in a clearing, one she hadn't seen since she was a child. The merry-go-round spun slowly, though there was no wind. And on one of the swings, swaying gently, was Jacob's old red hoodie. She stepped into the clearing, heart hammering, breath fogging in the cold air. The hoodie looked freshly washed, no dust, no decay. She reached for it and froze. A child's laugh echoed from the trees. High-pitched, ah. Familiar, what? Red, the voice called. Sing-songed. I'm not lost. I'm still here. Her knees buckled. It was Jacob's voice, unchanged since he was 10. She turned in slow circles, flashlight beam cutting through the mist. Then she saw them, footprints in the dirt. Small, barefoot, leading deeper into the woods. And just beyond, a shadow peeking from behind a tree. Not a boy. Not anymore. But something wearing his voice like a mask. Sarah followed the barefoot prints, each step more hesitant than the last. The trees whispered around her, though no wind stirred their leaves. The air was heavy, pressing in from all sides. Her flashlight flickered, casting erratic shadows. Then the prints stopped. Vanished. In their place was a circle of charred earth. At its center, an old cassette recorder sat half-buried. She crouched and pressed play. Static out. Then Jacob's voice, young, trembling. He comes when we forget. Red, don't forget me. Then silence, followed by a low growl. Sarah dropped the recorder and stumbled back. Behind her, a tree creaked. Turning quickly, she saw a shape among the branches. Human, but wrong. Its head tilted. Eyes glowed faintly. It smiled. The creature in the tree didn't move, but its presence hollowed the space around it. Sarah couldn't breathe. She stepped back slowly, but the leaves under her feet crackled like thunder. The thing dropped from the tree, in one fluid, silent motion. Its limbs bent the wrong way. Its skin glistened like damp bark. But the face, Jacob's face, remained unchanged, wide-eyed and pleading. Red, it said. You said you wouldn't leave me. She couldn't answer. Her legs finally responded, and she ran. Branches whipped her skin, brambles clawed at her clothes, but she didn't look back. Not until the scream stopped. And when she turned, nothing was there. Not even footprints. Sarah burst out of the woods and found herself at the edge of an old farmhouse, one she didn't recognize. Vines choked its frame, windows boarded, yet candlelight flickered within. She approached, drawn by a strange warmth. Inside, the furniture was covered in white sheets, and dust danced in the stillness. A grandfather clock ticked steadily, out of time with her pulse. In the corner, a mirror stood uncovered. Her reflection blinked, but she hadn't. Behind her in the glass, Jacob stood, smiling gently. "It's safe here," he said. She turned quickly. No one. Only the clock chiming, once, then twice, then 13 times. She touched the mirror. It was warm. The glass rippled like water. Without thinking, she stepped through, and into the same room, but older. Decayed. The air reeked of rot. The candles were gone, replaced by flies and broken glass. Her reflection remained in the mirror, but it didn't move with her. It watched. Sarah backed away, eyes fixed on her other self. Then the reflection smiled, slow and unnatural. "You forgot," it whispered, though no sound came. Her surroundings blurred, spinning like a carousel. Voices from her childhood echoed, distorted and angry. Then, stillness returned, and the reflection was gone. Sarah collapsed to her knees, gasping for breath. Her chest felt caved in, as if memory itself had weight. She remembered now, Jacob didn't vanish. She left him. Locked the attic when he begged her not to. Walked away as he screamed. Their parents covered it up. He ran away, they told the town. But she had heard him pounding, calling her name. And now, something had brought her back. To remember. To face it. From the corner of the decaying room, a closet door creaked open. A small, dusty handprint stained the inside. She didn't scream. She only whispered, "I'm sorry." Sarah reached out to the handprint inside the closet. The texture of the wood was cold, but the mark itself felt warm, pulsing faintly beneath her fingers. A whisper came from the dark within, her own voice as a child. "Don't leave me again." With trembling hands she pushed the door wide. The closet was deeper than it should have been, stretching into pitch black, impossibly long. A dim red light blinked far at the end. Something moved toward her, slow, rhythmic, dragging steps. She wanted to run, but her feet refused. The air thickened, the smell of damp earth rising. And then, through the dark, a figure emerged. A boy, 10 years old. Pale, with wide, hollow eyes. "You forgot my face," he said. Sarah covered her mouth and whispered, "Jacob," but the thing just stared. Jacob stepped into the light, his voice steady but strange. "You locked the door. You promised to come back." His skin was cracked, dry like parchment, his movements too slow, too deliberate. Sarah cried, "I was scared. I didn't know what to do." The boy blinked and tears, not water, but ash trickled down his cheeks. "You buried me." Behind him, the shadows shifted. Dozens of children's faces appeared in the darkness, silent, watching. "I wasn't the only one," he said. Sarah backed away, but the room behind her was gone. Only the closet remained. The air grew colder. The truth she buried clawed its way to the surface. Sarah dropped to her knees. Her memories came rushing back, merciless and raw. The fights. The silence. The fear. Jacob had changed in the final weeks, speaking in whispers, drawing symbols on the floor, claiming the closet talked to him. Their parents thought it was grief, madness, maybe something worse. They locked him away, and Sarah, too afraid, turned the key. Now, surrounded by faces of the forgotten, she saw it wasn't madness. It was warning. Jacob had tried to protect her from what lived behind that door. "He lives through memory," Jacob said, voice cracking. "And you remember now." A low growl rolled from behind the children. Something ancient was waking. From the shadows it stepped forward, a tall, twisted figure draped in flesh-like fabric, its face a blur of every memory Sarah ever tried to forget. Its voice was many, layered and grotesque, echoing her childhood fears. "You fed me," it said, "every time you chose silence." Jacob moved between them, arms outstretched. "Not again," he whispered. The creature roared, a sound that shook the rotting walls. Sarah screamed. He's just a boy. But Jacob shook his head. He was. Now he's the key. The ground beneath them split, revealing a gaping pit of light and smoke. Sarah reached for Jacob, but he was already falling. Sarah dove forward, catching Jacob's hand just as he dangled above the abyss. "I'm sorry," she sobbed. "Please, let me fix it." His fingers curled around hers, weak but present. "You can't fix what you forget," he said. And then he let go. She screamed as he vanished into the light. The creature shrieked behind her, furious, unraveling in tendrils of smoke and memory. The attic collapsed inward, sucking everything into the void. Sarah clung to a beam, her world disintegrating. Then, silence. The light vanished. She was alone. No attic. No house. Just a field. The night was quiet, and in the grass beside her, a single Polaroid. Jacob smiling, holding her hand. Sarah staggered to her feet, the photo clutched tightly in her hand. Her breath came in shallow bursts, her legs unsteady beneath her. The house was gone. The forest, the attic, the closet, all vanished, swallowed by silence. But the memory remained. Her skin tingled as if something had been torn away from inside her. The Polaroid warmed in her grip. She turned it over. Written on the back in shaky red crayon, "One of us has to stay." Her mind reeled. Had Jacob gone willingly? Had he known the cost? The stillness pressed in, too perfect. The world felt paused, suspended in a moment that shouldn't exist. And somewhere behind her, a voice whispered her name. Not Jacob's this time. Something older, deeper, waned. Turning slowly, Sarah saw a door standing upright in the middle of the field. No frame, no walls, just the door, old and rotting, upright and waiting. The knob gleamed as if freshly polished. It hadn't been there before. She stepped closer, heartbeat heavy in her ears. The door pulsed gently, like it was breathing. Behind it, she heard a whisper, rhythmic and familiar. A lullaby her mother used to hum. Her hand trembled as it hovered over the doorknob. She knew whatever was behind it wasn't just memory, it was consequence. Her past begging to be faced in full. She pressed her palm to the wood. Warm, not alive. And then it opened. Beyond the door was her childhood home, but not as it had been. It was pristine, bright, dull, white. The walls whitewashed, the air filled with the scent of vanilla and something faintly metallic. She stepped inside. The photos on the wall had changed. All now featured her and Jacob, but he was always slightly blurred, as though not fully present. In the kitchen, their mother stood humming the lullaby, stirring an empty pot. "He's home now," she said without turning. "So someone else must leave." Sarah blinked. "Mom?" Her mother turned, eyes hollow but smiling. "You were the key, Red. You kept the door shut." The hallway behind her stretched endlessly, lit by flickering yellow bulbs. Sarah turned toward the hallway, pulled by something unseen. Each step forward made her feel lighter, like she was losing mass. Memories flickered on either side of her, like windows into her past. Jacob, as a toddler. Her father yelling. Her mother crying behind a closed door. Her own face in a mirror, refusing to cry. The farther she walked, the less she felt tethered to herself. The hallway narrowed, squeezing her. Whispers crawled along the walls, names she couldn't bear to remember. The floor bent beneath her feet, wood turning to ash. Then, at the end, a mirror. Her reflection was already there, waiting. Sarah stood before the mirror. Her reflection smiled, but the face was wrong. Hollow eyes. A flicker of Jacob behind the glass. She reached out and touched the surface. Her reflection did not mirror the motion. It pulled her in. Darkness consumed her. Screaming. Rushing wind. Then, stillness. Sarah opened her eyes and found herself standing in the field again. But the door was gone. The stars were brighter. The air warmer. And on the ground lay the Polaroid. This time she wasn't in it. Just Jacob. Alone. Smiling. Holding the key. Her hands were gone. Her voice silent. She had taken his place. The world Sarah now stood in was not her own. The sky above pulsed with a copper glow, stars swirling like eyes watching from above. The trees bent away from her, as if repelled. Time felt stretched, every breath, a minute long. She walked, though her footsteps left no impression on the ground. There were no birds, no wind. Just silence and the sound of her own heartbeat growing fainter. Ahead, she saw a house, not hers, not Jacob's, but familiar. Built from memory, shaped like grief. The windows were all mirrors, each showing a different version of herself. Laughing, crying, screaming. She approached the front door. A sign hung loosely above it. Home again. Sarah stepped into the house. It breathed, walls expanding and contracting like lungs. Inside, the air smelled like dust and lavender. Each room was a different memory. Her 6th birthday party, her father's angry footsteps, the last time Jacob held her hand. Every time she tried to move forward, the house reshaped itself, doors disappearing, hallways curving back into themselves. In the dining room, a long table was set for one. At the head sat a figure with no face, hands folded gently, motionless. A single name card was placed in front, red. As she stared, the room filled with distant sobbing, echoing from the walls. The figure raised its hand slowly and pointed to a door behind her that hadn't been there moments ago. Sarah turned. The door was open, revealing a stairway descending into darkness. With each step down, memories screamed around her. A doll she buried. A lie she told. Jacob's final words, "Don't forget me." The staircase ended in a cold stone room. Chains lined the walls. In the center, a child-sized chair bolted to the floor. On it, a single item, the brass key. The same one from the attic. She approached, hand shaking, and picked it up. The moment she did, the walls wept blood. Sarah stumbled backward, the key clutched in her hand. Behind her, the wall split open, not with bricks cracking, but like flesh tearing. Beyond it was a mirror. But this time the reflection wasn't hers. It was Jacob, older now, maybe 16. He looked exhausted, his eyes pleading. "It's your turn," he said softly. "I kept it closed for as long as I could." Behind him, the same creature from the attic lurked, watching. The door must always have a guardian. Sarah stepped forward, tears in her eyes. "I don't want this." Jacob smiled sadly. "Neither did I." The key turned in her hand. The world shuddered as Sarah inserted the key into the mirror's frame. It resisted, groaned, then clicked. The glass rippled. The creature behind Jacob howled, and he was pulled backward into darkness, screaming her name. "Sarah!" She reached, but he was gone. The glass solidified. Now her reflection returned, tired, older, alone. The room dissolved, and she stood once more in the attic. Dust. Silence. The closet was closed. A photo lay at her feet. She picked it up, herself smiling with Jacob at the age of 6. No monsters. No darkness. Just sun. A memory. She whispered, "I remember." And for now, that was enough. The morning light broke softly through the attic window, scattering golden rays across the floor. Sarah sat motionless, back against the wall, the photo still in her hands. Her body felt heavy, but her mind had never been clearer. She remembered everything now, not just the horrors but the good days too. Jacob's laughter. The time he built her a fort out of blankets. The way he always said, "Red," with a smile. She whispered it now. The name that once haunted her. Red. It didn't sound like a curse anymore. Just a name. Her name. Something had changed. The house was quiet, but it no longer felt oppressive. It felt peaceful. She stood slowly, legs aching, and made her way downstairs. Downstairs, everything was exactly as she left it, but different somehow. Lighter. The walls, once dark and cracked, felt warmer, as if the memories had softened their edges. She ran her fingers along the wall, feeling the grooves of time. In the living room, the Polaroids were gone. In their place, a single framed picture sat on the mantel. Her and Jacob, aged 6 and 10, arms around each other in the backyard. No shadows. No blur. Just sunlight. A note was tucked beneath the frame. 4 words, written in neat red ink. "Thank you for remembering." She took the picture from the mantel and held it close, then walked to the front door. As she opened it, the light outside felt different, brighter, clearer. No fog. No shadows. Just the quiet sound of birds and wind in the trees. The world had kept turning, even when she had paused. She stepped out barefoot into the grass, still damp with morning dew. It felt grounding. Real. Her bare feet pressed into the soil, anchoring her. As she looked back at the house, she knew she would never fully leave it behind. But she could carry it now. Without fear. Without lies. She wandered into the woods behind the house where it had all begun. The forest was no longer a maze of fear. It was still, serene, filled with the scent of pine and life. In the clearing, the playground remained. Rusted, unmoving, but no longer haunted. She approached the swing where Jacob's hoodie once hung. Now it was empty, gently swaying in the breeze. She sat on it, letting herself rock gently. She closed her eyes and whispered, "Goodbye." In the distance, she thought she heard a child laugh, soft, bright, fading into the trees. And she smiled. Later that night, Sarah returned to her bedroom, the Polaroid tucked beneath her pillow. She stared at the ceiling, letting silence wrap around her like a blanket. There were no knocks. No whispers. No breathing from behind the door. Only stillness. Only peace. Her eyes drifted shut, and for the first time in years, sleep came easily. The clock ticked forward. The wind outside whispered through the trees. And somewhere, maybe in a memory, maybe in a dream, a voice echoed gently, "You kept the door closed, Red."